Abram's children. Now, Abram, I'm blessing you, but understand that your children I will use in order to exact my punishment upon other people. So I'm giving them this opportunity, but does God already know the outcome? Yeah, because why? He's already got a plan. Right? I mean, we don't think about that aspect of it sometimes, but he gives them opportunity, but he already has a plan because he knows what's going to happen. And that's hard for us to grasp because we want to try to then think about the reasoning and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no, this is just the way man is. This is what's going to happen. That's what's going to, and this is what I'm going to do. And so it came about then when the sun had set that it was very dark. And behold, there appeared a smoking oven and a flaming torch, which passed between these pieces. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants, I have given this land from the river of Egypt as far as the great river, the river Euphrates. Did Abram walk between the pieces? Now, remember we said a while ago that there are how many people involved when you made this covenant? One of them didn't make the covenant. Only God made this covenant. Only God said that this will happen to me if I don't keep my word. Abram didn't walk between there. This is God's covenant and God's alone that he makes to Abram. We've got the rest of the story. Do we know that God kept this covenant? Yeah, God kept it. Now, the other thing that I want to just, and it's kind of one of those deals like Anthony just said, I like that idea. We're going to stick an asterisk by this for just a moment, because when we get into the idea that, well, the Jews are still the chosen people, I'm not talking about anything, I just in a religious standpoint, and that, they should have their land and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. Then why didn't they, when they gave them back the land, why didn't they give them everything from the Nile over to the Euphrates in 1948 when they made Israel a nation again? If you were going to do it, isn't that what you do according to what the Word of God says? So I always ask people that, and of course then you don't get a response, because what do you say in that regard? That we know that these were God's people because they were the descendants of Abram, and Jesus came from that bloodline. And what is the kingdom of today? It's his church. Where is that church? In the hearts of men. It's not a land. It's not a nation. And we'll get to this over in the next chapter, because there's something in the chapter 16 that we'll look at. And the Canaanite, the Kenizzite, and the Cadmonite, Hittite, Perizzite, Rephaim. There's that word again, talking about the giants that we talked about, even before the flood, after the flood. These people keep showing up. The Amorite, the Canaanite, the Girgashite, and the Jebusite. All of those people living in the land of Canaan, God will judge using Abram's descendants. So think about that for a little bit, that God's judgment. Could God have just gone in and destroyed them all himself? And the answer to that is yes. But we look at how God does things. We look at what his word is and how he does things. And he uses man to carry things out. Did he use his own son in order to carry out his plan? Yes, he made him. Think about it. Now, this goes back to This gets me in trouble. This goes back to what was talking about in Genesis chapter 1 and Genesis chapter 2 when he made man out of a handful of dirt. Male over here on that first day. And he said, well, it's not good for man to be alone. But I thought, so we've got this spiritual realm. And then we've got this earthly realm. And so where Jesus is right now, he comes in this spiritual realm to Abram in the physical realm. But then it says that Jesus became flesh. He existed, but he came to flesh as a man so that he understood that aspect. All right? Chapter 16. And I pray that I'm not boring you guys too much. And I know we're taking it slow. It's like it's a chapter at a time and things like that. But there's a lot of things that we want to look at. And one thing that I want you to, next week in chapter 16, man, there's some stuff in here that I just really hadn't really grasped hold of before until I started reading through this, and we'll take a look at that. But are there any questions or comments before we shut it down this morning? All right. Thank you all for being here, and have a blessed day.